Hello, my name is Luke, and I work for AccuFi. I'm the lead designer for Tess, our tax equity partnership model spreadsheet. Tess is fast, accurate, and easy to use, and we're making videos about it to show off its features. Today's video will be about credit transfers, and specifically how to model them in Tess and how to add a switch where you can easily switch between a credit transfer and recognizing the credit directly in the partnership. Let's get started. I have here the scenarios tab for my project model, and I've added in a line for a flag that sets whether credit transfers are on or off. So right now I have this flag on. What I'd like to do is show you how the credit transfer settings are set up in Test so that this flag can work. Okay, let's start by looking at the project settings tab. So this is where I compute my credit amount. I have an amount right here of ITC, and I also have an amount of credit transfer right here, where I'm assuming that we're going to be able to sell the credit for 90% of its face value for cash at the beginning of the partnership if we're doing a transfer. Okay, so let's see how these settings wind their way into Tess when the credit transfer flag is on. So first we'll go to the depreciation tab, and we'll notice that the investment tax credit section here, if we look at the credit amount, there's a formula that says if our flag, I happen to know this range is for our flag, if it's set to 0, so if the flag is off, then we'll pull in the credit amount. Otherwise, it'll be 0. So the flag's on, and the investment tax credit is going to be 0 because the partnership is not recognizing the credit. Instead, we're selling it for cash. Okay. And I'll also note that even though we're doing this, we're still going to recognize the basis reduction. So this isn't sensitive to the flag. Okay. The next option is, or the next settings that are important are in this project to partnership tab. So you'll notice there's a line here under operating cash, and specifically, I have a formula in this cell for the amount of cash that we get for selling the credit. And you can see that the formula says if the flag is set to 1, if it's on, then pull in the cash amount that we get for the transfer, otherwise use 0. And I've written a simple formula where it just is hard-coded into this date, just for the sake of a demo. If it was a more serious case, I would probably write a formula that reads the date and fills in the amount on the appropriate date. Okay, you'll also notice that this cash split setting here is set to 3, and I'll get to why that is in a second. But for now, just note that it's different than the other two. The other place where we need to set this is in the tax exempt income section down here, because the rules for credit transfers are that you sell the credit, and instead of recognizing a gain on your sale, you recognize an amount of income that adjusts the capital accounts and basis of the partnership, but you don't actually have to pay taxes on. So that's why it goes into this tax exempt income section. So you'll see we have a line for credit transfer, and the formula here simply refers to the amount up here. So it's pretty simple. Okay, so now let's get into what is this cash split 3 thing. If I go to the partnership settings tab down here, you'll see there's this section of cash splits right here. And what this does is it allows us to specify schedules of splits. So you can see, for example, in split 1, we have a start date, a date where it changes, and then this is a repeat actually of the same date. So it's really just 0% switching to 5%. In split 3, we have just a start date and it's just 99%. So the goal here is we're going to take the amount of cash that we get for the credit and we're going to split it by 99%, just like we would if the partnership was receiving the credit directly, recognizing it directly, and splitting it 99% along the same splits as all the taxable income at the beginning of the partnership. So that's why we did this, is because we need to set up a schedule that's 99% and we need to assign it to the credit transfer amount. Okay. So let's have a look at how this looks in the results of the partnership. So I'm going to look at the P1 cash tab here and observe a few things. One is that the credit is 0, which makes sense. Of course, we're selling it. We're not going to get to recognize it. And there's a big number in this distributions column because we're just getting a big pile of cash at the beginning of the deal and distributing it out to the partners at 99% and 1%. So no credit, big cash distribution. Now, if we look at the capital accounts, we'll see something similar reflected here, where we have a big cash distribution. This is the money we got for the credit. And then we also see this tax exempt income. Now, we're not paying taxes on this income, but we are still adjusting the capital accounts and outside basis for it. So it shows up here. And we also see the basis reduction from the depreciation of the asset. It's important to note that this tax exempt income and this basis reduction are really the same concept, where basis reduction is like a tax exempt loss, where you take a part of the depreciation and you have to recognize it, so it shows up on capital accounts and basis, but you don't get to save on your taxes from this loss. Tax exempt income from credit transfer is the same thing, just opposite sign, where you have this income that adjusts your capital accounts and basis, but it doesn't affect your tax bill. You don't have to pay tax on it. Okay. So this is what it looks like set up with credit transfers. Now let's take that flag and turn it off and set it to just recognize the credit from the partnership and see what that looks like. So I took this, I set this to no, and then let's see what happens. So if we visit, for example, the project to partnership tab, we'll see that this credit transfer row got set to 0. Down here, also set to 0. So that looks the way that it should. And then if we go to the depreciation tab, we'll see that now this holds the credit amount and the amount will flow through as an investment tax credit. Okay. So I'm going to rerun the model to make sure that it is fully solved, which it is. Stay here. And then let's have a look at the results. So here's the P1 cash tab. Now our big distribution of cash is gone, right? Because we're not receiving this big pile of money for our credit that we transferred away from the partnership. Instead, we see the actual amount of credit here in our cash flow. So that's a clear effect of the flag. And then let's also visit the capital accounts to see what happened there. Okay, so our big tax exempt income is gone and our big cash distribution is gone, just like we would have expected because we turned the flag off. Basis reduction is still here, and then of course credits don't show up on capital accounts. It's just cash versus tax on here, so credit doesn't affect it. Okay, so now you know how to set up a credit transfer in Tess and also to set up a flag to make it easy to switch between transferring the credit and recognizing it directly in the partnership. Thank you, and I hope this video was helpful to you.